following is a presentation of 4-Star Sports Media.
We welcome you ringside to the all-new Sidecar Cafe Arena. It's not real, but come on now, y'all. That's what we named our studios, the Falls Count Anywhere Show, coming to you live on a Tuesday night here in Central Arkansas. I am Zach Kerr alongside MC Marcus Carlton. What's up, man?
Hey, man, how's it going?
Another day in paradise.
You know it, man. It seems like we didn't do it inside the hog pen last week, and it feels like it's been a long time, man.
I don't know. There was so much basketball going on last week, dude.
Yeah.
I couldn't fit it in between the games. But
I'm with you.
I'm going through withdrawals.
Yeah.
But I'm on a sports note, since we are a sports talk show and a sports radio station, the only SEC school left standing in the Sweet 16 is Arkansas. Heck yeah.
Adam Cole. Boom.
Right? Or we could do Rob Van Dam.
Yeah, there you go.
Mix it too. All right, so we got a big show tonight. Bum has the night off. We are going to be joined shortly by one of the boss men himself, Wes Pruitt, and he's going to give us the lowdown on Ring of Honor. But you and I are going to hang out talking about WWE and AEW tonight. We're going to be having UFC and boxing as those events come up, so y'all stay tuned for that. But I would be in so much trouble if I didn't thank our new presenting sponsor, Sidecar Cafe, located at 2194 Witten Road in Memphis. That is your one-stop shop for all things sports and incredible food. Owner Rick Haygood and company will make you feel right at home with their drink and food specials. And they've also got a new location opening up in South Haven, Mississippi. So you never know. 4-Star Sports Media might actually show up. You just never know. Go by and tell them 4-Star sent you. And I promise you are not going to regret it. That is Sidecar Cafe in the heart of Memphis. All right, dude. I've watched WWE for, since it came on the air in 93 almost. I took a couple of years off because I was, manhood hit and I wanted to go check out other things. But I've been a WWE fan mostly all my life. And last night, there are no words for whatever the hell that was. So the show opens.
Yeah.
And anytime, and guys like us, we grew up and we loved the Attitude Era. We loved pro wrestling at its peak, DX, The Rock. So whenever they come back around or you hear the music, you kind of get a nostalgic feel. Well, last night the show opens and Kevin Owens comes out in a crap-looking bald cap on his head. Knee braces half done. It looked like, the podunk version of Stone Cold.
Yeah, he looked like what happens when you order Stone Cold from Wish.com.
Yes! Yes! Yeah, exactly.
So that's I will admit though, when that glass broke, I swallowed the hook, man. I mean, my arms were going up like this, and I was I was getting ready with my oh hell yeah, and I was ready.
I had to apologize to my neighbors downstairs because I was watching it from the living room, and I have, dude. Okay, I'm gonna admit this. I'm 35 years old, and I've got a plethora of wrestling shirts back in my closet. And Stone Cold's one of them. I got Stone Cold. I got The Rock. I've got a couple of John Cena's, and then Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins. When his glass hit, I scurried back to that closet so fast, and I was throwing shirts everywhere. Trying to find that smoking skull one, man. Austin 316.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's shaping up to be a pretty good segment. But here's the problem: WWE has a known history, especially in the last 10 to 15 years, of these feuds just kind of fizzling out and overworking it, fizzling it out to the point where we almost lose interest in it. What did you think from last night's opening segment?
So I love the opening segment with Kevin Owens coming out. Like I said, I swallowed the hook on it. When I heard that break, I immediately went to 1998, 1999, somewhere around in there, and I'm looking because even the first couple steps, they had such a wide shot on that when Owens came down the ramp. The first couple steps, I was like, okay, is that him? Is that him? And then as it got closer, you saw the really bad bald cap. And
the beard, dude. The beard's what gave it away.
Yeah, the beard is what gave it away. But I thought it was great. I love to be swerved like that. Something that's unpredictable, which is what I have claimed, in my opinion, has been WWE's problem for the last several years, is that it's just been way too predictable. That's why I've kind of shifted to AEW product, because I don't feel like it's quite as predictable. I loved it that they pulled me in, and then Owens coming out. And Owens is, to me, I'm a heel guy. So to me, he's a much better heel, than he is a babyface. And he's pulling off the heel on this. The only part of it that didn't really make sense to me was in his promo, he was trashing Texas, but they were in Chicago. So that,
Well, and he's been doing that in every city they're in.
Yeah.
And it's because there. And again, I'm guessing at this, so I could be wrong. It's because their Super Bowl is in Dallas. I mean,
oh yeah.
If it was in Miami, you'd have, you could have somebody trashing Miami or whatever. Of course, anybody trash Miami.
And I get what he was going for, but it just, I don't know, man. It struck me as funny because Chicago is traditionally, a very vocal crowd, and if they don't like what you're doing, man, they'll hijack the show. They will throw beach balls.
They tried.
Around. They'll chant crazy stuff, and kudos to WWE though, because we were in Chicago, did not have a single CM Punk chant.
No, but they did have another chant that we're going to get to.
They had another one
that I think they actually muted the audio on. If you listen to the segment, and we'll get to that in just a few minutes. But staying on the KO segment, he is a master craftsman on the mic. He has come so far from his NXT days, and even the early days when he debuted on Raw.
I don't know who.
The fact that he had the entire crowd hooked, he had us hooked. And he played it so well, like he acted really surprised when the second time that music hit.
Yeah.
I don't think there was a soul that thought that was fake.
Yeah. No, man, you see the smile on my face because
we
all want it so bad, and it was the ultimate tease to, because most of the time when you've seen stuff like this happen, the second time the music hits, as Jim Ross used to say, business is about to pick up.
Yep.
And and Kevin Owens, he sold it. He was like, "Oh my God, I'm all scared and everything now." And then just kind of, looked at the crowd like, "Man, y'all are a bunch of idiots." And I loved it. I mean, it was great, man. It was just, I loved it.
So I'm gonna harken back before we move forward into the show and further into Raw. A few years back, when Monday Night Raw came to what was then Verizon Arena, which will always be Alltel Arena for the guys like us.
Yeah.
Dolph Ziggler kind of did the same thing, and I forget who he was feuding
I remember
with.
that. Yeah.
And again, it was one of the legends. He was trying to mimic one of the legends. and I was sitting in my seat talking to my best friend, and I was like, if this dude shows up, I'm going to lose my mind.
Yeah.
And about the time I got the word mind out, you hear HBK's music hit. I lost it. And then Dolph Ziggler walked out, and I was just, dang it, he got me.
Well, and I kind of pride, I've been watching wrestling since I was like, 7, 8 years old.
Yeah, that's about how old I was.
I kind of pride myself on the fact of, okay, it takes a lot for me to swallow the hook on some things. A lot of times when you have these promos that they try to make it look all realistic, like, somebody is legit mad at the company and they're going to walk out and everything. And it's like, okay, this is a work, they're doing it good, but it's a work.
Yep.
But that, I have to admit, man, they got me last night.
Yeah. And I tell you, and if anybody knows me, knows who my favorite wrestler of all time is. There's a little nugget of it in the opening of the show. Hint, hint, wink, wink. And he, over the 30 years, he was and they call Triple H the cerebral assassin. I get that. But the Undertaker was the best at psychologically messing with you.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, without a doubt.
He would always throw a curveball. So moving on into the show, the other segment that I didn't understand, but at the same time, it needed to be done was, and I don't understand this match for WrestleMania at all, is the Mysterious Miz and Poopy Logan or Wimpy Logan or whatever loser Logan Paul loser
celebrity boxer. Yeah.
Didn't he get his ass kicked by Floyd Mayweather? Was that the Logan Paul? Was that the Paul that got his ass kicked by Mayweather?
I think that was Jake, wasn't it?
Was that Jake Paul?
Is one of
I don't even.
It was Jake. I think.
I don't even know who did this guy box that made him such a big name.
He's been fighting like other celebrities and some mid-level MMA guys. And to his credit, man, dude is in pretty good shape and he's decent in boxing. What little bit of knowledge I have on boxing, he seems to be for kind of a amateur, semi-pro, kind of whatever you would call that category. I'm not ready to say he's a full-blown professional boxer.
No,
he could kick my tail, but that's not saying a whole lot. But he moves around in the ring pretty well. I don't know whether I'm anxious. When you see a train wreck about to happen, you can't turn away because you're like, oh God, this is going to be bad, but I have to see it. That's kind of the way I feel about this match because I'm not the biggest Mysterio fan anyway. I love The Miz. I think he's great. I think he's underutilized and underappreciated, but I could go off on a whole show about The Miz.
He's one of those guys, MC. I don't mean to cut you off, but you had said something a few minutes ago that kind of struck me. You're a heel guy.
Very much.
Every now and then, Vince has one of these guys that just plays the heel perfectly. You can't see him as a babyface, and Miz is one of them.
Yeah.
Miz is one of those guys. Yeah, Miz is one of those guys that he can't be a babyface.
It just doesn't work.
No.
Yeah.
What did you think about? Go ahead, man.
I was just going to say, prime Ric Flair was the same way. In his prime, he could never. They tried to give him the babyface run a time or two, and it just didn't work, man. He's one of those guys that's just a natural heel.
Yeah. What did you think about the demasking of Rey Mysterio?
Honestly, I didn't really have an opinion. I've seen Rey Mysterio demasked so many times. Here's the thing. I've been watching #. Here's the thing. I'm stealing your line there.
Get it trending. #. Here's the thing.
I've been watching Rey Mysterio for so long. Okay, I remember when he was in WCW and he lost a match to where he had to go unmasked, for the rest of his time in WCW. This was towards the end, right before WWE brought it out. But there was all this storyline and stuff about how Eric Bischoff hated the luchadors and hated the masks, and Rey lost a mask versus hair match. And so seeing him unmasked now is not a big deal. You've seen it with the Lucha Brothers over in AEW, like on big pay-per-view matches. They've had their masks ripped off and they immediately cover their face. And I get it because that's a big thing in the Mexican luchador wrestling. I get it. It's like the ultimate disrespect. But I've seen it played out with Ray so many times that it's not, it doesn't do anything for me at this point.
I agree, and there's been several times over the past 20 years that he's been demasked. I think Kane did it a few times.
Yeah.
To Ray, I know Kane has been unmasked. That's not what I'm saying. I think Kane has unmasked Rey Mysterio.
Yeah.
Out of all the segments, the one that puzzled me the most was the tag team match with Dolph Ziggler, Robert Roode, and RK Bro, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, Seth Rollins comes out, and the way the mic was cutting in and out, I mean, that whole segment there made no sense at all.
Well, nothing they did with Seth Rollins last night made any sense.
No,
to me, I don't know, man. I don't know if they're just trying to play filler until they do something with him at Mania, which like you said, we're going to get into that in a little bit, but I feel like they're throwing him out there just because he's Seth freaking Rollins with no plan. There's no plan. They're just kind of letting him go out and ad lib. And now
this kind of reminds
the
me.
match with him and AJ last night was a pretty solid match.
Well, they're two of the best technical wrestlers on the roster.
Yeah. So their worst night is going to be better than the best night for some of the other guys.
Oh, absolutely. Here's the thing. I'm gonna drop a hot take on you. Right. I think WWE's throwing us a curveball. And I honestly, and of course, they say his debut is April 4th. I get that he's debuting on Raw. And I'm gonna call it now: Seth Rollins versus Veer at WrestleMania instead of Cody Rhodes. It's a crap. It would completely ruin this whole thing with Seth Rollins, and the draw would be Cody Rhodes. That would be, and I don't know, would he use his AEW entrance or would he actually go back to smoke and mirrors? I mean, because they're going to want to use or would he use Stardust?
Oh God.
No, but the bigger draw, if you're looking at the two opponents, the bigger draw would be Cody Rhodes, Seth Rollins at WrestleMania 38, 37, 38, 30.
38. We'll 38. Correct us on if we're wrong. If anybody's watching,
I'm wrong all the time. I know this. But it would completely disregard all of this work that Seth Rollins is doing.
Yeah. Which would be par for the course for WWE because we've seen them, kind of outthink themselves at times. They're leading you down this path, and then all of a sudden, at the last second, Vince gets a crazy idea, and just bam, you're not even on the interstate anymore. You're like in a lake somewhere.
You're off in BFE, and that's what it felt like last night. That is what the show felt like. It felt like they had the show planned, and then Vince during the show was going, "Ooh, do this. Ooh, do this." It's almost like a kid sitting at a computer going, "What's this button do?"
Yeah. Well, and if you've listened to any other, wrestling podcasts with people that have worked with Vince in the past, he's done things like that. He's been known to change the show in the middle of the show.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Nothing is off limits with that guy. So, and obviously it's worked for him because he's, I don't know, whatever he is, billionaire, millionaire, whatever.
Yeah.
A lot more money than I'll ever see in my life. So.
Shit, trust me, I know. One final note about Monday Night Raw, and of course this touches on SmackDown too. But Brock Lesnar is at the peak, and I used to hate Brock Lesnar because he kept blowing through everybody, and he was always winning. He was always on the top, and they were pushing. It just got annoying. This version of Brock Lesnar, though, I love.
I'll tell you what this reminds me of. This reminds me of when they took Stone Cold and turned him into like the full-blown comedian. It was right after.
That's right after he broke his neck, wasn't it? He was on recovery.
Yeah. I think he was on recovery or one of
Jimmy Crack Corn, and I don't care.
Yes. Yeah. And then, him and Kurt Angle, that's a timeless segment there back when the two of them were backstage. Or when Austin would just, somebody would be talking and he would just repeat everything they would say.
We've got to do
I kind of feel like, I kind of feel like that's, we're in the ballpark with this version of Brock Lesnar because Brock has never shown the side of himself that we're seeing now. And it's,
absolutely,
I love it.
I absolutely love. You mentioned that version of Stone Cold. I absolutely Undertaker as the American Badass. I think he was leading a team during Survivor Series or something, and he was sitting there talking to like him, Kane, and one other dude. And every time Taker would say something, Stone Cold go, "Yeah, we got to do that."
Yeah. He's trying to make him break character, and he almost got him.
Almost. That is the first time I have ever seen Mark Calloway nearly break character live on TV.
Yeah.
Hopefully the go home show for WrestleMania on Raw next week is a little bit better.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of, WrestleMania is just 1 week away, and there is there's a full week almost of WWE content live in Dallas. Starts Friday night.
Absolutely.
You've got SmackDown, and then you turn around and do the Hall of Fame. And we're going to get to the Hall of Fame in a minute because I got some questions. I have some questions. It's going to piss a lot of people off, but at this point, I don't really care. You've got the Hall of Fame Friday night. Saturday, you've got NXT All-American. Is that what they're calling it?
Yeah, I think so.
And then you've got WrestleMania Night 1. Sunday, you've got WrestleMania Night 2. And then Monday from the American Airlines Center, you've got Monday Night Raw. There is literally, unless Vince gets another wild hair up his butt and screws this all up, no telling what those 4 days hold at all. And it just, not basing it on the last, 5-10 years.
Yeah.
But you're kind of sitting on the edge of your seat going,
yeah,
what's going to happen? Any one of those matches that have come out now, MC, kind of, I don't know, you're kind of impressed with, or what the hell? I mean, give me your take on the match card.
Obviously, the most intriguing match to me is going to be Edge and AJ. That's going to be that's the one. Just simply because they're taking Edge to a place that, I don't know that we've ever seen Edge go, and I kind of like it. As I said, I'm a heel guy, so I kind of like what they're doing with Edge. That's going to be really good. Obviously, I'm intrigued. They have my curiosity peaked on what they're going to do with Seth Rollins.
Mm-hmm.
Are we going to get the what everybody believes is the obvious choice, which is Cody Rhodes debuting, or Stardust, or whatever you want to, what persona you want to put on him. I don't know what's going to happen there.
Sorry, I just had a thought. Go ahead, MC. No, I'll write it down.
Okay.
So a few weeks ago, because Randy Orton likes to change his look up every now and then.
Yeah.
Going the full beard a few years back, a little bit of hair, kind of like mine. Or he'll do the partial goatee or or the mustache, which looks weird by itself. Well, I guess it was right around the time that the rumor started spreading that Cody Rhodes was going to sign with WWE. He went completely clean shaven, bald head, clean baby face.
Yeah.
Everybody lost their minds because they thought, that's a sign he's going to be with Legacy. He's rebuilding the Legacy tag team.
That'd be pretty cool.
That would be pretty cool. But I think that has run its course. I know it's a random thought, but it ties into, the whole, and we'll get into the Cody Rhodes conversation in a minute, but it goes back into all these things that WWE keeps feeding us about Cody Rhodes.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't want to think that they're trolling us with this, and that he is actually going to show up and actually have an impact. My worst fear is that he's going to show up, and for a week or two, he's going to be really hot. And then by the time, I think for WrestleMania Backlash, he'll play a pretty significant role. But then by the time we get to middle of June,
SummerSlam,
So yeah, by SummerSlam, which is August. That's
Yeah.
traditionally August. So by the time we get to SummerSlam, I have this fear that he's going to be opening match or
So in 2000
pre-show.
I saw somewhere where it was 2016, maybe it was 2000 something. It was a few years back. It was before he left officially WWE. They offered him $500,000 to stay.
$500,000.
Well, now he's reportedly signed a $3 million contract. It's not confirmed.
Wow.
It's not confirmed. But again, that's $300 million. That's $3 million more than I'm ever going to see.
Yeah. Yeah. I wonder how that compares to what he was making in AEW.
This whole thing seems just like a giant troll job.
It really does, man. I felt like that there is a piece of this that's just felt like a work from the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Because the way Cody left, and it was such bitterness that he left WWE, it's got, and if it's not a troll and he's actually doing it, it's brilliant because
absolutely.
he's got everybody saying, okay, why would he go back? Why would he go back? He was so mad. He was this. And you've got people intrigued because you've got them asking questions.
Mm-hmm.
And so when they ask questions, you've got them. Because everybody, I say everybody, the majority of people are going to tune in or they're going to check Twitter or they're going to, keep up with it however they can keep up with it. I'd be interested to see how many free trials they get for Peacock and WWE Network just to get WrestleMania to see if Cody Rhodes shows up.
Even the first episode of AEW, he uses a sledgehammer and smashes a mock concrete throne that had Triple H's cross on it, symbol on it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And he's always he is on record by saying, "I want to stay the executive vice president of All Elite Wrestling forever. This is the end of the road. There is no going back. You cannot change people as they go back." I'm paraphrasing now, but he is. I'm all elite. I'm all elite. I'm all elite. But then at the same time, they just bought Ring of Honor. AEW did, and like I said, I don't want to take your thunder away from it, but they just bought Ring of Honor. All of a sudden, Cody Rhodes has completely fallen off the map.
Yeah,
he's talked about. There's nothing being heard from him. There's, all we're getting is tidbits of information. Nobody's
Brandy's gone too. She's disappeared as well.
Yeah. So has WWE finally signed Cody Rhodes? Everything is insiders have said. I think Dave Meltzer even reported it, saying that the deal is done. He is scheduled to appear at WrestleMania. Yeah,
I'll believe it when I see it. It's I feel like I've been burned one too many times not from Meltzer, but from taking everything WWE's putting out at face value. Because in the end of the day, they are in the entertainment business, and their job is to keep you hooked. So what are they going to do to keep you hooked? They're gonna feed you little bits just here and there.
They're going to do anything and everything they can.
Exactly. Absolutely, it's brilliant.
So one last topic before we go to break. We've only had 4 announcements for the WWE Hall of Fame. Usually we've got about 5 or 6, at least a week out. The class is set.
Yeah.
So what the hell? I mean, you got Taker, you got Vader, and you've got
Queen Sharmell,
and that's it. That's all that I know that's been announced.
That's all I've seen. Or at least that's all that I remember anyway.
Now here's a thought that just occurred to me. I have those every now and then. Or are they doing a shortened, smaller class to give Undertaker as much at whatever time he wants?
Well, I think that's part of it because it's going to take, I don't necessarily think that he will speak for a long time because that doesn't seem like that fits his persona. Mm-hmm. And I mean, and by his persona, I mean Mark Calloway because he's going to come up there as Mark Calloway. But Vince is actually the one going to induct him into the Hall of Fame,
which I think is right.
Yeah, that's only fitting. I like that, but you don't know how long Vince is going to talk there. You don't know how long the tribute package is going to be. I mean, this is going to be this may be the longest one, and I think he's probably going to get a few more bells and whistles than some of the other guys like Hogan, Hall, Nash.
Well, yeah, he's been the
all
one
those
dedicated guy from day one. The
Yes.
man hasn't gone anywhere.
Exactly. And that's why, Vince will pull out all the stops to put Taker in the Hall of Fame here and make it the biggest and the baddest ever.
97, he walked into the freaking Vince's office and was like, "You did him dirty," while Bret Hart was giving Vince a right hook.
Yeah,
Hogan gave him the bird, and Taker was still there. Rock ran off to Hollywood. Cena ran off to Hollywood.
Mm-hmm.
HBK
had his time away.
HBK hit rock bottom.
No pun intended. He hit rock bottom.
Yeah, right. But he came back strong and finished one hell of a career.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
This will probably and even take and listen to me. Mark Calloway has come out and said that he has trouble talking as Mark Calloway.
Yeah, he's old school, and he's been in character for.
He's been in character so long, and growing up, you knew Taker never talked much, unless he was the American Badass when he kind of let go of that dead man persona for a little bit. He never talked much.
Right.
But he was one of those old school guys, just like my grandfather. When Granddad would speak, he didn't speak much, but when he spoke, you shut up and listened.
Yeah.
Because it was that always, wait, did he just talk?
Yeah. Yep. That's a great way to describe the way that, everything that we've heard about Taker, that's the way he was backstage.
Mm-hmm.
I actually watched a snippet of an interview with Scott Hall this morning where he was talking about Taker.
Rest in peace, bad man.
Absolutely. But he said he always referred to Taker as Big Smooth because he said Taker would have these parties in his hotel rooms after the show. And, there's a lot of guys that would like to hold court and be the center of attention and tell stories. And the example he gave there was Ric Flair. And I can totally see that.
I can see that. Dead on.
Yeah. But he said Taker, what he would do, he said he would get his drink and sit off in the corner and just kind of sit back and sip on his drink and just be like, yep, just chill. And so Scott Hall said, he always referred to him as Big Smooth because, the party was going on, but he didn't have to be the center of attention. He was just there to chill and unwind and relax and, let everybody enjoy themselves.
Taker was one of those guys that, as a kid, as an 8, 9, 10-year-old kid, scared the hell out of me every time.
Oh yeah,
because you were strapping Stephanie McMahon to a cross, the sacrifice. You were, you were
well, and I'll go back. I'll go back before that. Early days of Undertaker when he locked Ultimate Warrior locked him in the casket.
Yes,
and sealed it where he couldn't breathe, and then they did the whole thing with that, and then putting people in body bags and stuff. I mean, it was
buried alive match. The Randy Orton setting him on fire.
Yeah.
It literally scared the hell out of you.
Yeah. I mean, it did what it was supposed to do. And then
this could not be a more fitting end to. And you can say that it's Shawn Michaels. You can say that it's Stone Cold, The Rock, Hogan, Ultimate Warrior. You can tell me that this person's the greatest of all time. No. I 30 years, same spot, same character, the greatest of all time. Hands down.
I think he's right there at the top of the mountain with, when you start mentioning names of, Hogan, Flair, Austin, Rock, Undertaker's right there. He's right there in that top elite group because there is a group that stands a little bit above everybody else. And he's definitely in that group.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the Attitude Era WWE wouldn't have survived the Monday Night Wars without Taker. They wouldn't have survived the Attitude Era without Taker. I mean, he definitely left his mark. And the last match that he had with AJ,
I loved it.
I get it. It was cinematic because it was COVID. But holy crap, that is one of his best matches.
It was the story was told
Absolutely.
In my opinion, it was almost perfect. It was almost perfect. I just absolutely loved it.
I hate the fact that there were no crowds though during that storyline.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because if you add in the crowd effect to that, son.
Yeah, because you know that there's some of that adrenaline that these guys didn't quite get off of the cinematic match that they would have gotten off of a hot crowd. And had it been a WrestleMania, it would have been a hot crowd.
Oh, absolutely. But at the same time, and I know we're kind of running short on time, and we'll go to break in a minute.
It's worth it.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's episode 2. We're still working the kinks out. We'll be fine. It's one of those that you can argue the way it got personal with AJ when AJ started calling Michelle out, and he started you kind of knew that this was going to be it for Taker because 30 years nobody has ever referred to him as Mark.
Right.
And I don't think there was anybody else on the roster that Taker would have been okay with doing that. I think AJ.
I would agree. Yeah.
He handpicked AJ.
Yeah. And there was like a mutual respect thing there that, I'm not saying that the other guys didn't respect Taker, but I think Taker may have respected AJ a little more than some of the other guys to allow him to go there on the promos that he did.
It
was great.
Oh, I think it was during his last ride documentary that they did for Undertaker, or it was a separate interview or something. I don't remember, but Mark actually came out and said the closest to Shawn Michaels that you're going to get on the roster when he wrestled was AJ.
Yeah, and I would agree.
Yeah,
AJ is just phenomenal. No pun intended. I didn't mean for that word to come
out. That was good. That was good. That was quick. That was quick.
Pure accident, man. It was pure accident.
I'm impressed, MC. That was quick. You're full of puns tonight. That was great. All right. So that's gonna do it for any last remarks on the WWE before we go to break here.
Nah, man, I'm kind of anxious to see where one of the matches I didn't touch on obviously was Brock and Roman. That one.
Yeah, let's talk about that for a minute.
That's going to be fun, man. I really think that's going to be fun. You're seeing a little bit of, I've already kind of compared him to Austin when they went the comedic route, but there's other elements of this whole feud where you see, okay, they're kind of throwing back to some Stone Cold here because when Brock got in the whatever the piece of machinery was,
forklift.
It was, but it wasn't like a traditional forklift. It was like one of those big extended ones.
Yeah,
that goes out on a construction site. And then he damaged the SUV that they were, that the Usos and Roman were trying to get in to get away. It kind of harkens. It's almost like it's a tribute to the Attitude Era type deal.
Well, and I think, and again, call me out if I'm dead wrong on this. You're starting to see Vince kind of let up on it's going to be like this, and it's got He's given it a little bit more of an edge. He's with especially with Edge being back and everything, and his heel turn, and even with Roman and Brock Lesnar. Now, the biggest question with Roman is how does this gimmick that he's got end? Where does it go after Brock? So I have a theory.
I think we're on the same page here.
I have a theory. The match happens, right?
Yeah.
They both beat the hell out of each other. But Roman wins and is screaming, acknowledge me, I'm the tribal chief, I'm the head of the table, blah, 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 freaking blah. And all of a sudden you hear, if you smell, and out comes The Rock and basically says, you're going to battle me for the head of the table. I don't know how they're...
Yeah. I think they build it maybe till SummerSlam, maybe. I don't know.
I think you're going to see a match at SummerSlam, but I don't think you're going to see the match until WrestleMania next year. It's kind of how Cena and Rock kicked theirs off at WrestleMania 27. You didn't think that you didn't think there was going to be a match between the two, but WWE was dropping hints about it, talking about you can't see me. Mm-hmm. What are you looking like, a bowl of Fruity Pebbles?
Yeah. I mean, they teased it forever.
Yeah, and I think that's what you're going to see here. And of course, Rock is a big draw. He is one hell of a superstar, and I understand. And Cena said it best. I think he said it on like Fallon or something, where he said, "Look," he said, "I have not done with WWE," and neither has The Rock has said it too. But he says, "Look," he says, "if I get in that ring and do a full program and I get hurt, I'm putting jobs at risk on this movie. I'm putting I'm taking money out of their pockets." Mm-hmm. So they have to actually plan years in advance. Okay, I'm gonna clear my schedule because I want to go back. Here's when I'm going to go back, so I'm going to clear my schedule so I don't have any movies, so I don't put people's jobs at risk. I don't do anything that would hurt the movie side of it because there's so many people that are depending on that one star.
Yeah.
All right, we are going to go to break. We have talked, God, we went 40 minutes on WWE. Holy crap.
Wow.
I'm telling you, man, I can sit here and do this all night, but I'm not going to because we've got a little bit of AEW news coming up. MC's going to take over. I'm going to tag him in. You're watching the Falls Count Anywhere show on the 4-Star Sports Radio Network. We're going to be back ringside in just 1 minute. Hey fans, did you know that 4-Star Sports Media now has a YouTube channel? You can catch exclusive content covering all things Memphis Tigers and the Arkansas Razorbacks. Shows like The Point, and the only show on social media about the Arkansas Razorbacks that is purely fan-driven, Inside the Hog Pen. Plus other shows like The Hog Trough, The 4-Star Sports Show, and many more coming soon. So check them out today. Go on YouTube.com and search 4-Star Sports Media. Welcome back, ringside in the Sidecar Cafe Arena. I am Zach Kerr alongside MC Marcus Carlton. Big thank you to Sidecar Cafe, 2194 Whitten Road in Memphis. Go check them out. Rick and Haywood do a fantastic job, and they take care of us every time we do a show up in Memphis. They are your one-stop for sports and food. They got some great food up there. They also have a new location coming in South Haven, Mississippi. You're not going to check that out. Stay tuned to 4-Star Sports Media for updates on that. And you never know when one of us or all of us are going to show up live. All right, I'm about out of gas, so I got to tag in my tag team partner here. MC, what is going on in the world of AEW?
Well, as you know, I'm AEW is my top program that I watch. So, I made a few notes earlier today from the last Dynamite. From the last time we were on last week, you had 316 day would have been last Wednesday, which is when I think they were calling it like their St. Patrick's Day special because St. Patrick's Day was going to be the next day.
Right.
So they had quite the card laid out for Dynamite. Main event, I thought was a great match. Thunder Rosa defeated Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, for the women's title in her adopted town, her being Thunder Rosa, in her adopted hometown of San Antonio. If you've not seen this match, it's worth going to YouTube to try to find it because this is one of the best women's matches I have ever watched. It was all over the place. It had everything. It had great technical wrestling. It had backstreet brawl. It was a cage match. It had some hardcore stuff in it with some thumbtacks. I mean, it was just all over the place.
Did you see? I want to say it was Thunder Rosa that went to Instagram after that because she was talking about dropping the belt, and a fan had said that the thumbtacks were fake.
Oh, that was DMD. That was
DMD.
Baker.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. Britt Baker went on Twitter or Instagram, one or the other, after the match, and somebody had tweeted at her or replied to her Instagram and said something about the thumbtacks being fake or gimmicked, if you want to use the right term for wrestling terminology.
Right.
And she was showing, bruises up and down her arms. And
I was going to say, ask Mick Foley if they're real.
Yeah, these are definitely real, and it's a whole nother level of tough, crazy, stupid, whatever you want to call it, for them to do this type of thing to their body, all in the name of entertainment. But that match was, I'm telling you, I'm usually a pretty hard critic on some of the women's matches because sometimes I feel like maybe they're not what they build them up to be. This one
take note, Vince McMahon. Take note.
This one lives up to every bit of the hype. It was amazing. You also saw the debut of Mox and Brian Danielson as a tag team.
This one was kind of interesting, MC.
Yeah.
Explain this one to me, because this was a pairing that you wouldn't have seen when Brian Danielson, then he was Daniel Bryan, and right. Jon Moxley, of course, is Dean Ambrose in WWE. You would not have seen that in World Wrestling Entertainment.
Well, and if you followed these two guys' career before they got to WWE, they've crossed paths 1,000 times.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
They've had some great matches as Mox versus the American Dragon, or, Brian Danielson, whatever other persona he was going under at the time. So these guys are very familiar with each other, both great. It's kind of a contrast of styles. Mox is more the brawler. Brian Danielson is the most technical wrestler probably since Bret Hart, would be my guess. And to put those two guys in a tag team, I think it does two things. One, it shows that AEW is definitely holding up to their word when they said they were going to put a lot of emphasis on tag team wrestling. Because if you look at some of the tag teams that are in AEW right now, it's loaded. You've got the Bucks, you've got FTR, formerly known as the Revival. You've got Mox and Brian Danielson. You've got Sting and Darby Allin. You've got Jungle Boy and the big dinosaur. I'm drawing a blank at the moment.
Yeah.
But, yeah. So my son's going nuts over here because I said dinosaur. But Luchasaurus, that's who it is. Luchasaurus. There's a lot of tag teams in the division right now, and so they have put just as much emphasis on tag team wrestling as they have singles competition, and I love it because I love tag team wrestling. I think I think that the teamwork and the chemistry and everything, it's like a dance that you have to do with your partner to make it work. So Mox and Brian Danielson, I'm interested to see where they take those two guys in the tag team division. How are they going to climb the ladder to get their shot at the belts?
You were talking about tag teams, and I just got to thinking, Darby Allin is probably too young to remember the original Sting.
Yeah.
How much, or he's just old enough to remember the WCW days.
Right.
How much, because we're not going to count TNA, because that was, wow.
Yeah, that was just whatever.
Oh, boy. How much do you think guys like him are fanboying out, walking into an arena going, "Oh my God, Sting is my tag team partner. Holy crap." Yeah. Or I get to work with CM Punk.
Yeah.
Yeah,
he's got to be loving it. I mean, I know I would be.
Oh, absolutely.
And I'm a lot closer to Sting's age than he is, but I would still be all over it. I would love it. To see so many good teams in the tag team division, and I haven't even talked about the fact that FTR and the Young Bucks are kind of teasing the fact that they're going to bring their rivalry back to the forefront as well. Neither team is really. I don't know, man. And again, I go back to this. I know I keep harping on this, but it's unpredictable, and you don't know where they're going to go with it. But
that's the key.
Segment. Yes,
that's the key.
Yeah.
I mean, you're. I really don't want to say it because I'm going to catch heat for it because you don't know what you're talking about. They'll never do. You're kind of seeing the beginnings of a Monday Night War 2.0. Not on Monday night, though.
Right. Yeah.
Because AEW, it started out kind of rough. I mean,
well, it's just like anything else. Early episodes they had some kinks to work out, and with their storyline, and when you have all of those different guys come in as EVPs, being Kenny Omega, Cody Rhodes, and the Bucks, that's 4 different mindsets of how you want to go with it, and then you've got the ultimate decision maker in Tony Khan, who you would guess he has the final say because it's basically his money that is running the company right now.
Exactly.
So you've got 5 different cooks in the kitchen, so to speak, and you've got to find a way to appease everybody. And maybe that plays into a little bit of why one of those guys is rumored to be going back to WWE right now. I don't know. I mean, I'm interested to see what the Bucks do here. I'm trying to figure out how they're going to bring Kenny Omega back because Kenny's been gone for a while.
Well, he's going to be out. He's going to be out another 6 months, from what I read.
See, I mean, does he come back in, maybe, I don't know. I think eventually they're headed for Kenny Omega, Adam Cole, like we saw in Ring of Honor in Japan. That was a great little feud they had there right before, I think it was right before Adam Cole left to go to NXT was kind of the peak of that feud.
Right.
I think eventually you're going to work back to that. One other thing I really want to make sure I touch on here is Wardlow and MJF storyline. They teased the turn forever, and then at the pay-per-view, it finally happened. He cost MJF the dog collar match with CM Punk. Wardlow kind of goes out on his own, and then they're continuing this storyline. So I think they're gonna let this build until Double or Nothing comes up. I think it's in May is when that traditionally comes up. I think they're going to let it build to Double or Nothing, and then you're going to have an MJF Wardlow match that may, I wouldn't say it's going to end the feud, but it may cool it off for a little bit because you'll have a little bit of closure there. But, they're really starting to build Wardlow up. He had some nagging injuries and stuff is why he was out of the ring for so long and just kind of in that bodyguard role. But now that he's starting to get in the ring, they're really building him up as a huge monster, almost the way that Brock Lesnar was built up several years ago, as just untouchable and nobody could stay in with him. And that and you see a little bit of that.
You're seeing the comparison between him and how Roman is in WWE today.
Yeah.
500 days blowing through the roster, both on SmackDown and on Raw.
Right.
There comes a point when the fans are going to go, all right, this is enough. Take the belt off of him. Try it again. Give it to somebody else.
Yeah. And I don't know where they're going to go with it. I don't know if they're going to do that with Brock or what, but I think before long you'll see Wardlow in that title picture for AEW. Right now it's Hangman and
I wanted to
Adam
ask
Cole.
you. One thing I wanted to ask you is how many times what's the top championship in AEW? The TNT champion? What's the?
No, they actually have an AEW heavyweight championship.
Okay, so how many times in a year does that change hands, or how many times has it changed hands since its inception? Can you think off the top of your head?
I think Jericho was the first champ, so it went Jericho to Mox. Mox lost it.
Well, here's my point in asking.
So it's changed maybe four times, maybe.
Okay, so here's where I'm going with that. Everybody, because the same people in WWE are holding the same titles, and they've done it for more than 300 days. I mean, Charlotte Flair's holding the SmackDown title, Becky Lynch holding the Raw title, Brock holding the World title. You got Roman holding the Universal title. The only ones that have been changing hands are the tag team titles and kind of the mid-card title. I mean, we don't even know who the United States champion is right now. The Intercontinental champion.
Right? I
think so. Yeah, I think so. But my point is you're seeing everybody in AEW to this point get that moment in the sun. They're getting their ride to the top. WWE, you're not seeing that. You're seeing, okay, this guy's going to hold the belt until this person comes back. This person's going to hold the belt until this person. You're seeing that Vince doesn't trust anybody else to carry the company except who he has in place right now. as the top. I'm going to say top 4. The Raw and SmackDown champ, women's champ, Universal champ, and the WWE champion. There comes a point when you're going to go, all right, let somebody else have it. So
yeah, I think you've got to. I think you're spot on there with the trust factor. Vince gets in a comfort zone with certain guys. I mean, you see that going all the way back to when Hogan was there originally, before he left to go to WCW. You get one guy, and that one guy stays on the top of the mountain, and even when he gets knocked off the top of the mountain, he's still right there. So, because Hogan lost a little bit, he would lose to Macho Man, or he'd lose to Ultimate Warrior or whatever, but he was never really
Stone Cold, Triple H would lose it to Stone Cold. But occasionally you would have Triple H would lose it to Shawn Michaels or Mick Foley or The Undertaker. But, and you saw it in Cena and Orton in the early 2000s. They would trade it back and forth. In AEW, you're finally seeing it being done right, where this guy's holding it for a certain amount of time, then he's going to drop it to the next guy in line. That guy, and you're literally seeing different people as a champ. They're doing it right. In my opinion, AEW is doing it right. Yeah.
And I think it's a matter of time before you see MJF get his turn, because if you think about where he's been all over the card. Oh, yeah. He has feuded with several people, but he has yet to get his title shot. Now, is some of that because he's such a young guy and he's so versatile that they can do so many different things with him? I don't know, but eventually you've got to have, and he's such a great heel. But you've got to have him.
He's one of those guys that cannot play a baby face.
Yeah, they teased with that just a little bit in the early days of it. Trying to put he and Cody against Jericho early on, and he's just not meant to be as far as being the baby face. He's going to be a career-long heel, but I think you've got to see maybe that's what they do with this Wardlow MJF feud that's going on, is that maybe whoever comes out of this moves a little one step closer to making a challenge for the title.
Right.
I think Hangman's I think he's gonna hang on to it for a while. He may hang on to it till about the fall, and then I think that's when we may change, have a changing of the guard, so to speak. Because about that time, you got to figure Hangman's probably going to be ready for a little bit of time off.
Oh yeah.
He's got a new kid at home, and as you can tell from the run-in we just had on the side.
Hey, it's a no DQ. It's a false count anywhere match.
Yeah,
no DQs. No DQs. Hey, one last thing before we get out of here tonight.
Yeah.
How much more do the Hardy Boys have left in the tank before they decide to hang it up?
Man, this has got to be their last run. You got Jeff and Matt back together. I think the only reason that Jeff left WWE, after that whole debacle of, it being what it was, and after that happened, and he goes to WWE, you got to think that they're going for their swan song last run.
Oh, absolutely. Because think about everything Jeff Hardy has been through. Well, Jeff and Matt both. I mean, tables, ladders, spikes.
Man, his body, both of them, their bodies have got to be worn out. Matt Hardy stepped away for a little while because he said he had injuries that were going to prevent him from continuing his career, and then they come back for that one final run in WWE, and then he jumped ship over to AEW, and I don't know that he was really planning on getting back in the ring quite as much as he has, but here we are. You've got, and if you notice, they're not going Hardy Boys now, it's Hardy Brothers. Just a little technicality there.
Because I think, doesn't WWE own the name Hardy Boys?
I think so. So you have to go Hardy Brothers.
Yeah.
But I think you're going to see them make one last run. They're gonna have a match with FTR. They're gonna have a match with the Bucks. They're gonna have a match with Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus, and then I don't know whoever else. Basically they're going to give them run of the mill. Whoever they want to have a match with, they're going to let them do it.
Oh, absolutely. All right, MC, we have I think we're we've won the number one contenders match for the tag team titles here. Any last thoughts before we get out of here this week? Because next week we're going to be talking the final preparations for WrestleMania.
Yeah, man, it's that time of the year.
That's pretty good.
That was pretty good, man. You just need to point to the sign now, and we can call it good. But yeah, I think you're going to see a lot of the storylines start to be, they're gonna come to that crescendo to where the match at WrestleMania is going to put the finale on whatever feuds are going on, or in the case of some, it may just be a continuation of it.
Yeah, so, and then Monday night, the season premiere starts a brand new season.
Yeah. That first Raw right after WrestleMania is always huge because the crowd is different. That's when you have your big debuts. And let's not forget the fact that on that night, Raw is going to go head-to-head with the College Basketball National Championship. So they're going to be competing with that for audience ratings as well. So they're going to, whatever rabbits they've got in the hat to pull out, if they don't pull them out at Mania, they're going to pull them out that first Raw.
That's going to be tough. I'm going to have another TV going again like I did there.
Yeah.
I especially if a certain team makes it.
Boom. Yeah, if I don't want to touch the money or anything, but if things go like we want it to go, man, that could be a very interesting night. So we'll just leave it at that.
Big thank you to Sidecar Cafe. We are both ringside in the Sidecar Cafe Arena, aka the Sidecar Cafe Studios. But since this is a wrestling show, we're using wrestling terms. Big thank you to them. Go check them out once again, 2194 Whitten Road in Memphis, Tennessee. They got a new location coming in South Haven, Mississippi, and I'm sure 4-Star Sports Media is going to be there live closer to football season. So that's going to be fun. MC, man, as always, dude, we're going to take our wrestling belts off, and Friday, 7 p.m., Inside the Hog Pen returns. After a week off, my head was going to explode with all the basketball I was watching, and I completely lost track of time and what day it was. So Inside the Hog Pen finally returns on the 4-Star Sports Radio Network. That's going to do it for us here. He is MC Marcus Carlton. I'm Zach Kerr. You've been watching the Falls Count Anywhere show on the 4-Star Sports Radio Network. Until next time, so long, everybody.